Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. This morning we have the month set up. August is complete. The next game up is obviously Aberdeen. That's going to be an interesting game since Aberdeen lost their first game of the season 2-0 last night away to Hearts. But will that have any bearing whatsoever on the Celtic game? Aberdeen are going to be at home. Celtic are going to have to be right up for it, because I watched the first half of the game last night and it was a bit of a battle. It was a bit of a battle, you've got to say, and it's going to be an interesting season ahead, that is for sure, when it comes to playing the likes of Hearts and everything, because a lot of the teams are adding to the physicality. And talking about physicality, that's one of the reasons that Celtic aren't going for a certain winger, because he lacks physicality. A Brendan Rodgers love word, isn't it? The old physicality thing. But when you see the size of players that are coming into the SPFL, you can understand why players that are coming in need to be of a certain stature, because let's face it, it's a physical old game, the Scottish game. It is one of the most physical leagues in Europe. Does it help us going into a European football context? No, I don't think it does, personally. The physical side of the game that you get in Scottish football just isn't there when it comes to Europe. But anyway, after Aberdeen, we have Falkirk at Celtic Park. That's a must-win game as well, because it takes us through to the next round of the Cup, a cup that we won last season, that we lost the season before, that we won the season before, and it'll be interesting. I want us to win the treble. I've said it since before the season started. I want us to win the treble this year, for various reasons. I want Brendan Rodgers to walk out on a high, and I want James Forrest to finish his career on a high also. And I think that'd be a good way for him to finish his career, with a nice little treble tapped in. So the Falkirk game will take care of itself. That's a Friday night kick-off. The mayhem that will consume that night. But is it good having a Celtic game as a Friday night game? Because let's face it, when you look at it, there's nothing to do the rest of the weekend except watch everyone else. But then there could be some hilarity over the weekend, over that weekend, and hopefully there is. Get the money out, Celtic, or the manager will walk, says Gary. After the game against Livingston, the cup game, is a must-win game. Against Falkirk, we have Livingston at Celtic Park, and that is these will be European kick-off times, by the way. This will be for. So forget the times, because I'm in Europe, obviously. And then we have, after Livingston, that's going to be a decent game. But will Livingston be the whipping boys of the SPFL this season? Now we're just going to wait and see on that one. And then we have the first game in the Champions League qualifier. Yes, it was confirmed last night. It is on the 23rd of August. And the 26th of August. The 23rd's the Livingston game, the 26th of August, the Tuesday night kick-off. It's a Wednesday night. What am I talking about? Get that screen bigger. Jesus. God, man. It's one of those days. I'm just waiting on Celtic making an announcement this morning, and they've not made it yet. I'm waiting to see when Celtic's going to announce Poozy, because I was hearing last night that there's been some kind of hold-up with the player. Anyway, on Wednesday the 20th, after the Falkirk game, we've got the game at Celtic Park, 8 o'clock kick-off, Wednesday night kick-off, and the first game in the Champions League. Who's going to be watching the game this week to see who we get? Because I'll tell you one thing, nobody can book flights until these games are done and dusted. And I think, do they play this week and next week? It's going to be interesting. So it does leave it late for fans that will want to travel, and you're going to get fans that will travel to either games. You've got one that's only a few hours trip, and they've got one that's about another 5 hours onto the trip. And then it is the Livingston game, and then back to the European game. The Livingston game they're talking about the Livingston game may be postponed, but I don't know why. I mean, because it's a Tuesday night. And why would you postpone? I mean, I think that was just general Celtic chat talking about postponing the Livingston game. Celtic won't need to postpone the Livingston game because, I mean, we play on the Wednesday. You play on the Saturday. And then you fly out on the Monday to play the Tuesday. Because they usually only fly out a day before. They'll get the rest day Sunday, they'll get training Monday morning, and then they'll fly out. But it depends. If it's a fucking a crazy flight to Kazakhstan, we'll need to wait and see. Because even Celtic can't even book their flight until they know exactly who we're playing. Why is Mina on the left wing? If he's still there at the moment, I've no idea. He should be in Lennoxtown right now, because we don't have enough wingers. Basically, yeah, Brown Warrior got it right. We don't have enough wingers. When you look at the I'm not even going to talk about transfers. I'm like Brendan Rodgers. We'll just, we've had a player in at Celtic since last week, and Celtic still haven't announced him as a player. And you're thinking, what's going on, Celtic? And they haven't made. Got 8 minutes yet, I suppose. We'll see if they make a 9 o'clock Celtic Park time announcement. Why is Stephen Yaxley Lennon trending in the United Kingdom? Are folk just going to stop calling him Tommy Robinson? Thank goodness, no bent. Celtic news-wise, there is nothing to talk about. We know the situation when it comes to needing players in. There's always the lull the first week into the season. And will Celtic, I mean, there's rumours last night. That Celtic are, over the last couple of days, that Celtic are waiting to qualify for the Champions League before they make the move for players, which I think is completely wrong. I think that if you look at Scottish football and what Celtic need to compete in the Champions League, I think it's wrong that you wait till you qualify, especially when we've let so many good players go over the last 4 or 5 months. Well, 7 months now. When you look at the players that we have allowed to leave the club and not replace them. And then there's a lot of talk about Adam Idah. Does he have 4 weeks to save his Celtic career? Ultimately, who's going to come in and buy Adam Idah? Let's have a little truth bomb. Let's drop the mic moment. I've seen there's quite a few Celtic blogs talking about the fact that Adam Idah, and it all came from a comment from Scott Allen, I believe. He said that Adam Idah's got 4 weeks to save his Celtic career. Well, who's going to buy him? And are Celtic going to sell him at a massive loss? No, they're not. Brendan, the Celtic have already came out and said that, look, Adam Idah's part of the plans this year, be it a second choice striker. I still believe that Celtic are in the market for a striker. Is Shin Yamada the answer? I don't know. None of us know. Southampton are after Bilwisha. Yeah. I think that anybody dealing with Celtic right now has the right to just go, do you know what? You're fucking about far too much. And it's so destroying for the fans. But from a professional point of view, it's very unprofessional. Do you know? And people saying, I mean, I've had people say, but the window doesn't start heating up until towards the end of it. There's been a shitload of business done in Europe an absolutely shitload of business done in Europe over the last, since the window opened. And you look at last month, and in the price range that Celtic, you would think would be active, the between £3 and £7 million bracket, there's been an absolute shitload of players. I think it'd be easier to secure a quality winger than a quality striker, Baz. Yeah. That's the way that I see it. Anybody that's, you pick up the phone and it will start doing the rounds. It's like, don't deal with that Nicholson. He's fucking useless. He drags it out and drags it out. And it's Nicholson that's dragging it out. I don't believe that Brendan Rodgers, it's nothing to do with Brendan. Brendan just gives them the number of players and a list of players, and then he then tells Paul Tisdale to scout them to make sure they're what he needs, and then he goes to the board. It's such a drawn out process. Bring back the days of having one owner that's involved in the club. Never mind an owner that's I've just seen a comment come up there. Never mind an owner who prefers playing golf. Bring back the good old days where you fucking do away with the board. You've got an owner, and you got someone that says, you want that player? Can we afford them? Yeah, let's buy them. Simple as that. Football doesn't need to be this bloody awkward, and Celtic seem to be making it awkward as hell. Never mind the money that we've got in the bank. That's here or there. Dermot is the absentee landlord. Is he an absentee landlord, or is he just he's never been one for being active, active on a sort of working. That's what he's got the board for. That's why people are involved in the club, and this is why people are paid to be in the positions that they are in the club, and they get their little bonuses at the end of the year. Big shout out from Logelli, Jamie Logelli, lad. We desperately need a left back, a left winger, a right winger, and a striker. Yes, we do. Yep, that's the four players that I would expect. We've got a defender in, and that's the four positions that I think that we still need to strengthen in. And I think that Brendan Rodgers ultimately, as people said before the season started, how many players do you think that we still got to come in? I said 5, and mate, you're bang on with that. I think that we still need 5 players to come in. And David Murray tried that. No, he didn't. Did he really? I bet he financed the club in a completely corrupt way. And I don't think Celtic would ever go down that. Fergus McCann didn't do it. He didn't go down the corrupt way of financing the club. So we've got our own hero that ran the club himself, that didn't need fucking all these numpties in the club to go through to talk to the manager. The manager went in and spoke to the chairman. Celtic seem to be... Celtic are like the Glasgow City Council and the NHS. They just keep adding layers of management, and nobody knows what the fuck each other's doing. That's the simple fact of the truth. What about left back? As it looks like Brendan doesn't fancy Inamura. Ali, Inamura has only played professional football for 1 year. For 1 year. Is he really ready for the struggles at SPFL? You've got young players at Celtic that have spent a life training to get to the position that Inamura's in, and they can't get to it. Celtic buy in a player because they see him as a cheap option. And even when he came into the club, Brendan Rodgers went, he's not going to be in the first team. He's not a first team starter. He's only been professional football for a year. Unless you're Iniesta, unless you're Yamal, if you've only been playing football for a year, you've got to have one hell of a special talent to... And he's not got that. He's good, I'll give him that, But the first game in the SPFL, when he gets his arse torn at him and he gets battered all over the place by big defenders, the exact same fans that said, "Where's Inamura?" I'll be saying, "Inamura's shite." It's quality banter first thing in the morning. Just don't understand all the last minute stuff. I'd rather go and sign players early for each position. Towards the end of the various windows, we still have various positions to sign, making it harder. And not really, because at the end of the window last year, we've got Arne Engels, we've got Luke McCown. Before that, we've got Adam Ida. Some people might say that's a complete waste of money. I'll say give them this season. Only if Brendan Rodgers and co still fancy Adam Ida. Now, it's 9 o'clock and Celtic haven't made an announcement. Usually they would make it at this time. So we are on Tuesday morning. The player was taken up. He passed his medical last week. He was in a tracksuit at the weekend. He was at the team hotel. He was on the bus with the players. And yet, here we are. Celtic have still not announced the player. What is going on? What is going on? Are Celtic waiting now? Are Celtic now waiting until they have the international clearance? Because remember, Shin Yamada couldn't play a certain game because his international clearance hadn't come through. Are Celtic now waiting until every single piece of paperwork is ticked off before they announce a player? We should not be signing players that have only played football for 1 year. A joke. That's why Brendan Rodgers came out and said it. I mean, I know that he surprised us as a player, right? I know that he surprised us, and he surprised Brendan, and he surprised the backroom staff. But you have to take into the thinking, does he have... He's the new kit man. He maybe is the new kit man. He maybe is the new kit man. St Mary's Parish, Coatbridge. Fantastic part of the world. Anyway, and after the Champions League game on the Tuesday, we then have a day's rest on the Wednesday, and then we gear up to head away to Ibrox. Now, if you want to start the season in a pit of fire, is this the pit of fire start of the season? I think it is. I don't think that you could get... I mean, apart from the Livingston game, it's not going to be an easy game. I mean, we should win it. On paper, we should win it. Maybe waiting on signings one at a time. After watching the Dross on Sunday, maybe he's had second thoughts. He was sitting next to Jota. Was he not? So, I don't know. You never know. Celtic still haven't announced anything. Anyway, Celtic are currently not at the top of the table, which is Hearts are sitting top of the table when you look at it. A certain team's been pushed down to 9th position in the league. 9th position in the league. How's that for you lads? When you look at the teams that have been beaten already, sitting on 0 points, Aberdeen, St Mirren, Dundee. Will this be the season that Aberdeen just don't get up and running? Obviously, Hearts are sitting top of the table on 3 points with a goal difference of +2 because they scored 2 goals and didn't concede any. Hibernian are sitting second in the table. Oh, the Edinburgh Gadgies will be loving it. Oh, that's Ouija. But anyway, Hibs are sitting second in the table because they conceded a 1 goal. No, they won one now, did they? Why is the Celtic's league table just not got all the details? But anyway, and then Celtic are sitting third in the table. We're all sitting on 3 points. Celtic will break away at some point. Falkirk are sitting in 4th position. Livingston are sitting in 5th position. Dundee United are sitting in 6th position. Kilmarnock are sitting in 7th position. Motherwell are sitting in 8th position. Rangers are sitting in 9th position. It's a fax. They don't want us there. How can we be sitting away down there when we've got the same points as everybody? They're all against us, man. They're all against us. They hate us. Too early for that crap, innit? Celtic still haven't announced anyone. Getting Poozy in the door. Baz, it's only our first game. It takes a Rolls Royce to get. It doesn't take a Rolls Royce that long to warm up. Wee James woke up with a hangover, tuned into Baz, started battering his keyboard with his hoof. What? That doesn't even make sense, mate. Bring back Big Gigi back. Big Gigi's never coming back. He's never coming back. We need to stop talking about players coming back, because I think that we've had our issues. All the media is doing this morning is talking about ex-Celtic players. There's another youth player that's left, but all the media are just talking about ex-Celtic players, which tells you there's absolutely nothing coming out of Celtic at all. Absolutely nothing. The fact that all the media are just, it's like, this ex-Celtic player's doing this ex-Celtic player's doing this, Kyogo's had a shit start to his Birmingham. Fucking, do you know what? It's just... Is it a good thing that there's nothing coming out of Celtic? Well, there's one thing. It means that there's no nonsense coming out and getting spoke about. But on the other hand of it, it could be perceived as a lack of activity. Now, there will be some kind of activity going on in the background, but I still think that Michael Nicholson... I still think that Nicholson sits like this and he writes out his facts and then faxes other teams. Walks over to the phone, and it's like that. It's the only fax that's still. It's in the print office, if there's a print office at Celtic Park, and he goes in there himself and shuts the door like he's having an affair, and then he dials the number for the club, and just to find out that the club no longer has a fax. So then he has to click the button that says send as email, and he gets confused at that, Michael Nicholson, and goes, fuck, I've just wasted 2 days writing out this fax. and then he sends it as an email. That's just what I think. You've got to have some hilarity about it. We've got to have some hilarity about the season. This is our weakest squad in a long while. Yes, Kieran, it is. And there's no papering over the cracks. There's no trying to say it's... people say, it's a strong squad. It's fucking not a strong squad. It's strong for the SPFL. We're going to Europe, we're going to get fucked. We've not got the players to play. Look at the way that they ran out of steam. Who's better, Gigi or Adamida? Adamida scored more goals. Fact. Chill pill, you've got to go on stats. Adamida scored more goals and coming off the bench than what Gigi did. He might not be better, but that's the type of thing that unfortunately modern managers look at. They look at the stats and go, well, he scored 20 goals last season. Do you know what I mean? Gigi might have been a bit more physical, but when it comes down to it, Will Rogers call Vardy or Robbie Keane? No, not a chance. Not a chance. Imagine being in the boardroom when they order pizza for Domino's. They try to order pizza for Domino's at $75.99. Lowell offers them $50 and then ups it to $51.50. I don't think it's Lawwell, but I don't think it's Lawwell. It will be Michael Nicholson, because he was the money man at Celtic. Spot on Baz, strikers are judged on goals. Yeah, it is, unfortunately, mate. Whilst Gigi might have given a lot more to the game, his goal return wasn't as good as Adam Ida coming off the bench. Yang and Tillio don't leave. Don't even, honestly, that's Yang and Tillio want to leave, and we don't think they're good enough, but Celtic need to keep them. It's embarrassing. We should have got Edouard. But you see the money that he's been sold for now. A lot of people say that he down tools Edwards. It's a very Scottish version. Edouard. I'm not too sure. I think that we need to. That Celtic will not bring back. I think we've had our limit. We brought back Jota because he's at the age range, and it would be loan of a pizza. That's quality. The board still use walkie-talkies to communicate. They've all been cut off from their mobile networks for low balling the monthly bills. And at least, do you know what? It is the true Celtic style shining through this morning. Do you know, we always look on the bright side of life. The song that was sung by Celtic fans in the 1990s when we were going through a hard time. We're not going through a hard time just now, but people are wanting the board to act a little bit quicker, and it's good that the good old Celtic humour is coming through. Neil was Kyogo's return last season. Same 12 goals. Yeah. Very true. There's this one. Just do you think if a big company came in to buy Celtic, the board would sell us and come to nah, because the way that the Celtic shares are divvied up, you need to look into it, because there's two silent shareholders that have a bigger influence than anyone, but they don't use it. I've said this before. I forgot their names. I had their names before. They're the second and third biggest shareholders. They've never had anything to do with Celtic. One owns a plumbing company in down Livingston Way somewhere, if I remember right, and I'm not sure what the other guy does, but they've never had anything to do with the day-to-day running of the club. They don't even have any rights when it comes to voting or anything, but they do have this massive amount of money in Celtic. It's not a massive in the big global scale of things, but when you think it, the Derma's shares is only worth something like 50 million, and their shares is 15 million and 5 million respectively. It's a lot of money to just be sitting in a club. Do they get a return on their investment? Do they get a dividend? I don't know, I'm not sure. But I think it's just to make sure that Celtic can never again go down the road of being owned and dominated by one person. Hence the reason that Dermot Desmond only owns, I think he owns 51% of the shares, or 49 or something, I don't know, I'm not sure. But he is the majority shareholder. He's not the only shareholder, he's just the majority shareholder. But it is what it is. We Fergus on the chain with fans. Could you imagine our directors doing the same? Tories don't do buses and trains. Get a grip. Tories don't do buses and trains. They never do that. Nicholson being on the price for the pizza, $75.99. Could we pay that in 6 instalments over 4 years, please? Hello, Domino's. They've hung up on me. Oh man, I hope somebody for Celtics. I bet Nicholson's sitting there going, fucking cunt. Nah, not a chance. Nicholson will not be. I bet you Nicholson's the type of person that comes in at about 11 o'clock. He's never in at 9, and he's not one of these top guys that run a company that gets in. I mean, I can't see Nicholson as being the type of person as a gets in the office at like 6 in the morning, so there's nobody else in, so that he can get all his work done, and then he can just focus on the business. Do you know what I mean? Focus on what needs to be done. I can't see Nicholson doing that. Do you know, like real entrepreneurs that get into the office and get all their shit done and all their emails and all the stuff that takes up time. Can't see Nicholson doing that. He comes in for his 11s. And then you never know. He might do something else. We missed out on Shankland. No, we didn't. We didn't even go for Shankland. Is Dennis O'Brien still involved at Celtic? Yeah, I'm not too sure. Off-field, the board are doing a job, but when it comes to on-field, they're a bloody shambles. Yeah, well, if their job is to... I mean, what's more important? 5 merchandise launches over the summer, or 5 good players? There's a poll. We should have done this one earlier. Yeah, there's plenty of time. There we go. Now, Celtic have had about 5 merch launches this summer already. What would you rather have? There's a quick poll for you this morning. Would you rather have 5 merch launches or 5 good players? Anybody that votes merch launches is having a laugh. There's folk just clicking merch launches just for the sake of it. I voted merch, says Monty. Let's name and shame the culprits. I voted merch. New strips all day. With most young players on social media, would you sign for Celtic when you see how fans treat our players? That's an interesting one, because although that they may be on social media, a lot of the real good Scottish lads that coming through the system at various levels don't generally go onto social media on a daily basis, and they don't post stuff on social media, because nowadays the clubs teach the players, I think that there's maybe a class at some point, and it's here's Lee Griffiths, and this is what happened to Lee talking to people on social media. End of. That's it. Class closed. It's don't do it. And I think that, I don't like taking the piss out of Lee for that situation. It was an unfortunate situation. But I think when you look at it, I think most younger players now are pretty clued up not to go into social media. Guys, Fox video's out next. Oh, jeez. Who the hell voted for more merch? Quite a few people have voted for more merch. This is 10%. Oh my God, 10% have voted for more merch this morning, which is unbelievable. And Celtic have still, it's coming up for 20 past, and Celtic have still not announced a new player. The standard of refereeing is worrying in Scottish. Is the standard of refereeing worrying in Scottish football? I mean, it was suggested that Brendan Rodgers did have words with Don Robertson at the end of the game. But Don Robertson's pish as a ref. Yeah, we all know the Scottish refs are absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. Madness. I'm just watching a little video there. Anyways, we're down to 9% on people who want merch launches. We're at 76 votes. There's been over 670 people on the live. This channel and this club makes me drink. Michelle, if you're drinking at 10 a.m, the Aberdeen away top is decent. Jesus. Where's that one? There's thousands of decent players out there. What's wrong with Celtic can't get any? I know when you look at the amount of transfers that I've went through all over Europe, do you know? It's I've no idea. I'm at the stage now. I don't want to talk about transfers. The Diets tops are top of the league. The Diets are top of the league. Yeah, I know. The Diets are top of the league. Yeah. Okay, Brown Warrior. No, it was a bit of it's a riot on Twitter. Two American lads jumped over the barrier at the court and started laying into the guy who murdered their mum. They just totally bounced over the fucking... It's madness. You would do the same, to be fair, but you let justice take its toll. The guys just jump over and start laying into the guy. That's how bored I am with Celtic this morning. You need to turn the Xbox off. Yeah. What's the odds on the Grumpy Greek coming back? He's not coming back. If the Grumpy Greek comes back, it's game over. Do you think we'll postpone the Livingston game? No, I don't think that we will. I don't think that there's a need to postpone the Livingston game. When you look at it, we play... when you look at the fixtures... I'll get them back up on they're on the screen. When you look at the fixtures, right, we play on the Wednesday. As long as it's Slovan Bratislava, right? We play on the Saturday. We play the Wednesday, the Champions League. We play on the Saturday in the Champions League, and then we play on the Tuesday. As long as it's Slovan Bratislava and it's not an overly long trip, they won't need to postpone it. If by some freak horror show we need to go to Kazakhstan, well then you've got Monday that's going to be quite a long journey. So I don't think they will. I think that they'll wait and see. Celtic won't make an announcement until we know who we play in the game. That's for sure. And it was all just talk last night. And that's how, it was all just chat online. There was nothing coming out of Celtic. 88 votes. We'll finish on 88. It's a nice number. You're absolute crazy. 7% want new merch rather than 5 new players every season. Anyway, that's us done and dusted for this morning. Another fantastic morning talking about Celtic when Celtic are doing absolutely nothing. And in all sense, no chance of the Grumpy coming back. He's trying to get back to the MLS. It's all about money. Yeah. Has anyone noticed how close call for offside? The ball goes out for a corner and the flag goes up. Yeah. Anyway, that has me done and dusted for this morning. I've got about 20 tabs open trying to find out where we are. God, we've been on for 39 minutes. Big thank you to Michelle, Peter King, Mikey Boy, Brown Warrior, Stephen Johnson, Willie Man, Scott McGill, Grab Boy, Midnight Caller, and everyone else that's on the chat this morning. If there is any update by Celtic this afternoon at some point, I'm sure that we'll jump on a live. We'll see you all later. Have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.